There are a lot of misconceptions about college admissions, and I want to cover about 9 of them today, but I'm going to split it up into 3 different videos. So the top 3 or the first 3 are in this video, so stay tuned. Today I want to cover the top 3 or the first 3 misconceptions about college admission. The first misconception, a big misconception, is that colleges want well-rounded students. Now, this is a big misconception. I've told many parents over the years and many students that if you want to increase your chances of getting into an elite college especially, don't be a well-rounded student. Colleges are not looking for well-rounded students. Colleges are looking for passionate, focused students, not just students who are busy and doing all kinds of activities here and there, scattered all over the place. They want someone who's focused. So if you're into, let's say, Science Olympiad, then go all in on that. And then all the things that you do for the 4 years of high school, center everything around science and Science Olympiad competitions and science projects and science competitions and science clubs. And you see what I mean? Let's say that you're into writing and you love writing. Well, you should join the school newspaper. You should create a website. Maybe you have a blog. Maybe you have a writing club, and maybe you do just writing on your own, and maybe you do writing tutoring for free for younger students, maybe in middle school or even elementary school as your activity. You see my point? You want to center everything around that one passion, okay? So rather than trying to be a well-rounded student, because I've had so many parents say to me, well, my kid has done a lot of this, but they don't have a sport and they don't have a musical instrument that they play. And I said, you don't need that. You don't have to do sports. You don't have to do musical instrument. Focus on the one thing. Like I had this one parent recently whose daughter, very active in the community, has a lot of leadership skills and has shown that, and has been involved in a lot of different leadership type activities in the community and so forth. And so the parents were concerned that she didn't do any music, any sports, and they thought maybe she should play golf, maybe she should do this. And I said, no. Just keep on that one track. You want to keep pursuing that one thing that you're passionate about, that she's passionate about. That gives you the best chance of getting accepted into elite schools, okay? And this is not just for elite schools, but especially elite schools. So that's number 1. The second misconception about college admissions is that if you attend a better high school, a higher ranked high school, a more competitive high school, that you'll have a better chance of getting into colleges, and especially elite colleges. This is so far from the truth, okay? I've often told people many times in the past, jokingly, that look, if you're living in a very competitive high school district, if you really want your kid to go to an Ivy League school or so forth, you're going to increase your chances a lot if you go live in Iowa, okay? Or if you live in some state where it's not so competitive. If you're attending a school where it's not so competitive and your kid is the number 1 top kid in that school, okay? And so students are based on the relative rank to how they did relative to all the other students in his or her class. So if you go to a very competitive high school and you're ranked number 50, now you might say, well, my school doesn't rank. Okay. Schools may not show you the rank, but they all understand where you are, and counselors understand, and colleges understand. But if you're in the middle of the pack or the bottom compared to your class, okay, in a very competitive high school, that's much worse for college admissions than going to a school that's a little bit less competitive, but you're just killing it there. You're just number 1 there, okay? So it all has to do with how you do relative to the kids that you are graduating with. So going to a more competitive high school doesn't necessarily make you more competitive. In fact, a lot of times it's a disadvantage because you just don't stand out. So if you really want to stand out, you got to go to a school where you can stand out, not say, well, I got a 3.8. Well, there are 300 kids with 4.0s. And if that's the case, you're not really standing out, right? Okay, so that is point number 2. Misconception number 3 is that GPA makes up for a poor SAT score, or vice versa. A high SAT score makes up for a poor GPA. You don't know how many students and parents I met over the years who said, well, my son's or my daughter's GPA isn't that great, so I'm hoping that a really high SAT score will make up for that. And I said, well, where do you want to apply to colleges? And they named these top 20 schools, really, really highly ranked colleges, okay? For highly ranked colleges, nothing makes up for anything. You have to be good at all of it. You have to have a stellar SAT score. You have to have a stellar GPA. You have to have a very focused activity list. Okay, so nothing makes up for anything. I mean, if any one of those things are poor, they're not likely to accept you. It's going to be very difficult because it's so competitive. There are so many students who are good at everything that if you're lacking in one thing, unless you are, there are some exceptions. Okay, there are some exceptions, and those are, for example, if you're a very underrepresented minority. And by that, I'm not just talking about ethnicity, okay, but sometimes it has to do with ethnicity, like if you're African American or if you're Native American, Hispanic. Those are three traditionally underrepresented minorities. But also, if you're a student athlete and you're stellar in your sport, and they really need that position player in that sport, and you're that player, and they really want you, but your GPA is not that good. Or maybe your GPA is pretty good, but your SAT is not that good. They may still accept you, okay? Those are exceptions. But just for normal, generally speaking, if you're applying to these elite schools, the higher ranked the school is, you have to be good at all of them. Nothing really makes up for anything. You can't really be poor in any one area, okay? So today I talked about the top 3 misconceptions about college admissions. This is just part 1. In the next video, I'm going to cover another 3. And then in the next video, I'm going to cover the last 3. So stay tuned. And I hope you watch those videos as well.